Welcome back to Swordman Josh Gaming, and I'm still working on if I like this format versus having the cards in hand, but I wanted to go over another deck tech this way. This one happens to be for Siona, Captain of the Pyleas. So this is a Siona combo deck, or at least there's a couple of combos in here and a couple of ways to dig. I didn't have an Enchantress's deck, so that's what this serves as. I was originally going to do Estrid because I bought the Precon, and a lot of these cards came out of the Estrid Precon deck, and a lot of them I just had sitting around. But and I had bought seriously, I had bought some of these Enchantresses to put into an Estrid deck, and that's the reason I had them laying around. But what Siona does is she's just a 2/2, and everybody at this point knows the combo that she goes off with to make infinite tokens. The question is, what can you then do with those infinite tokens? So I have a couple different cards that allow you to combo out with those infinite tokens or do infinite damage. But what Siona does is when she enters, you look at the top 7 cards of your library and you can reveal an aura card from among them and put it in your hand, and the rest on the bottom of your library in any order. The big key here is whenever an aura you control becomes attached to a creature you control, create a 1/1 white human soldier creature token. We're going to get the combo out of the way right now, and then we'll talk about the rest of the deck. For those of you that have been living under a rock, the combo card that this goes with is Shielded by Faith. So Shielded by Faith is just, it's an aura, so when she digs she can find it, but enchanted creature is indestructible. Great. When a creature enters the battlefield, you may attach Shielded by Faith to that creature. So with Siona on board, if you don't understand the combo, you play Shielded by Faith. You only need Siona on board, or Siona has to be on board for this combo to work. But let's say she's the only creature you have. You play it on Siona. It creates a 1/1 token. You then, by option, you move Shielded by Faith onto that token, and then it creates another token. And then you go again and again and again, so you make infinite 1/1 tokens. Now, to finish off that combo, I said I had a couple of ways to deal with that, and then we'll go through everything that's surrounding it value-wise. So, those tokens don't have haste. I think Crashing Drawbridge is a very underrated card. You could tap it, give all those creatures haste that you just made, and you don't have to wait for a whole round of the table for everybody to try to dig up an answer to be able to destroy your army of 1/1s. You just tap it, give them all haste, swing in for the win. The other 2 cards that I have in here for the combo for enablers, one is Altar of the Brood, and for those of you who have watched this channel for a while, you all know this is one of my pet cards. Whenever another permanent enters the battlefield under your control, each opponent puts the top card of their library into their graveyard. So basically it mills out all of your opponents. If they have a Titan in their deck, i.e. one of the Eldrazi that creates a shuffle effect, you just basically infinitely mill them until the only thing that's left in their library is that one Eldrazi, and you let them draw it. You go around one more turn cycle, and then they're dead. And then, well, I have no idea why Banishing Lights in French or Italian or whatever that is. And then the other combo card that I have in here is Blasting Station. So with this on board and Shielded by Faith and Siona, you have infinite damage to just kill everybody, because you can tap it, sack a creature, deal 1 damage to any target or player, and whenever a creature comes into play, you can untap Blasting Station. So as you're creating those creatures, the one that Shielded by Faith moves onto, it's untapping this, and then you can tap this in response to destroy the creature behind it that Shielded by Faith left behind. So you get this machine gun effect. Other options you could do in here if you wanted to and wanted to build this differently, you could do things like the Soul Sisters and then put in an Aetherflux Reservoir, but I kept this pretty budget for what I had sitting around the house, and it's basically equal parts enchantments and creatures, and all of the creatures are enablers to get through the deck faster. So we'll go through the creatures first. So we have a Johnny's Chosen. So everything synergizes with enchantments. So a Johnny's Chosen is a 3/3 for 4. Not a great value. However, whenever an enchantment enters the battlefield under your control, you get a 2/2 white creature token, and you can attach an enchantment or an aura to that token. So if your Shielded by Faith is already on the board and you have, for some reason, you can't get through, you can use a Johnny's to create another token if Siona's not on board. So she's a duplicate Siona type effect, but only for each enchantment rather than each creature. So she does. A Johnny doesn't create the infinite loop, but it can get you some major value. Archons of Sun Grace is kind of the same thing, except you get a 2/2 white Pegasus creature token. Then we have our reducers, and Danitha Caption Paragon. So basically reduces, you were not playing equipments, but reduces auras by 1. We also have a reducer in Hero of Iroas. Aura spells cost 1 less to cast. We have a reducer in Starfield Mystic, doing the same thing. Enchantment spells cost you 1 less to cast. And I thought we had one more reducer, but oh, here it is. Herald of the Pantheon is also a reducer, making all of our enchantments 1 less to cast, with a side effect bonus of gaining a life each time. Now, things that we're running 1 Hate Bear. You'll notice that the only artifact that we're running in here that has an activated ability is our Crashing Drawbridge. A lot of commanders built around people using mana rocks, and instead of using mana rocks, you'll see up above that we're using enchantments to get around that. So Collector Oof is a great Hate Bear in this deck because we are running 1 activated artifact. In terms of other creatures in this deck, we have the good old Aura Gnarlid. He gets +1/+1 for each aura on the battlefield. The Bronzehide Lion, we're running it because it's indestructible. However, when it dies and comes back, it comes back as an enchantment, and this allows us to make our enchanted creature indestructible. We have Destiny Spinner, which makes all of our creatures and enchantment spells so they can't be countered, which basically is everything in the deck. Eidolon of Blossoms allows us to draw a card. So card draw engine, Eidolon of Blossoms. We have, so these are our enchantresses. We have Mesa Enchantress. She draws a card whenever it enters the battlefield. We have Nissan Wanderer, which allows us to dig for lands. So it's, I call it card draw, even though it's more card selection. You have Satire Enchanter, which is card draw. Citizen Champion is card draw. Siona Captain of Pyleas, which is your commander, is technically card selection. Here's our other reducers that I missed. Transcendent Envoy is one of our reducers. You have Enduring Enchantress, which is card draw. And we'll have one more card draw up here in the enchantment realm, and a couple more things that are card selection. So up here in the enchantments, you see we have Enchantress's Present, which is card draw. And there is at least one more in here that draws as a card, I do believe. I know there's a couple scries up here. Where is it at? It is, where did it go? It's, oh, there it is, Seasons of Growth. So whenever a creature enters the battlefield, you get a scry, but whenever you cast a spell that targets a creature, i.e. all your auras, it's a card draw. Sorry, I'm waffling here a little bit as I'm going through this to try to explain it. I'm still getting used to this format. So then we will go down in here to the rest of the creatures that aren't. Heliod's Pilgrim is your only tutor in here. You could also run Idyllic Tutor or Enlightened Tutor. And you could run Worldly Tutor if you wanted to get something you wanted. But Heliod lets you go get any aura you want. Most of the time, you're going to go get Shielded by Faith. So you can go Infinite. Heavenly Blade Master is a... when it comes into play, it's flying in double strike. So this is one of the alternate win cons. If you can't make infinite tokens, you can make them really big. When it enters the battlefield, you attach any number of auras to it. We're not running equipment, so it doesn't matter. And then other creatures you control get +1/+1 for each aura attached to it, so it can get big fast. You have Core Spirit Dancer, which is just like the Aura Gnarlid or the Yavimaya Enchantress, where it gets +2/+2 for each aura attached to it. And then Midnight Guard's in here for another infinite token combo in case the first one fails. So Midnight Guard, and for those who don't know, because this is a very common popper combo, is Presence of Gond. So what Midnight Guard does is whenever another creature enters the battlefield, you untap Midnight Guard. Presence of Gond up here, it's enchantment, so you enchant the creature. An enchanted creature has tap, create a 1/1 green elf warrior creature token. So again, you tap, you put Presence of Gond onto the Midnight Guard down here, and you tap them, you create a creature. The ETB effect of that creature coming into play untaps Midnight Guard, and then you can make infinite tokens with Presence of Gond and Midnight Guard, and this is a very common popper combo. The other thing that I had in here is an infinite combo. If you happen to have a Earthcraft lying around, which I didn't realize the value of Earthcraft, and I didn't find one in my collection. Earthcraft and a Squirrel's Nest will do this same exact thing, but for land. So Earthcraft is untap target land whenever a creature comes into play. And then Squirrel's Nest is a enchantment that goes on a land, and you tap it and you make a 1/1 squirrel. So with Earthcraft and Squirrel's Nest, you can make an infinite number of squirrels, whereas this makes an infinite number of 1/1 green elf tokens. And then with Siona, we make an infinite number of 1/1 white human creature tokens. So if you have an Earthcraft, by all means, it's a Earthcraft and Squirrel's Nest would be a great upgrade for this deck. I think we've gone through most of these. Chalet, Voice of the Plenty's in here, just so that way you, planeswalkers you control, and other creatures you control have hexproof, so they can't target you. Sigard is in here because Siona does make human creatures tokens, and she's a human soldier herself, so she doubles in for a Chalet because she makes you and humans you control having hexproof. And if you notice, we have a human, a human, a human, human, human. A lot of these are human. I'd say half of our creature selection is human. Let's see here. I think that's it down here in the creature selection. So we'll go up here into the enchantments we're running. Obviously, all that glitters. Most of these are all cheap. We want to get the card draw. We want to keep things moving. So let's do the mana ramp first, actually. I'm going to count Bear Umbra as a mana ramp because it's also an enchantment. But whenever you attack with the creature that it's enchanted to... Hi, Quinny. I got a kitty. You get to untap all of your lands. So it means during your second main, you can cast everything again. We're also running Dawn's Reflection, which is mana ramp for us. We are running Fertile Ground, which is mana ramp for us. Gift of Paradise is our mana ramp. We have Market Festival as mana ramp Overgrowth. We're also running for mana ramp Utopian Sprawl, Verdant Haven, Weirding Wood, Wild Growth, and Wolf Willow Haven. That's our mana ramp suite, along with our mana reducers. It gives us like 12 mana ramp / mana reducer cards. I think we have 8 to 10 draw cards, with basically all of them being able to be used over and over and over again. The rest that we have in here, All That Glitters, +1/+1 for each enchantment. Ancestral Mass, +2/+2 for each other enchantment. This is Banishing Light, and basically it's a prison card to be able to interact with our opponents. We have Conclave Tribunal, which is a prison card. We have also to interact with our opponents. We have Isolation Zone as a prison card. Kinnereth's Transformation and Lingify are both removal. Prison Realm. Oh, here's Prison Realm. Yeah, that's Banishing Light up there. This is a prison card, obviously. So that's the way we deal with our opponent's stuff. And then our stuff is obviously on the other side with Conviction is a great card because for 1 white and a colorless, Chaining Creature gets +1/+3, but if you have nothing to do and a lot of mana for a white, you can return it to your hand, cast it in, and get some synergy of creating multiple 1/1s. However, if you have something like Divine Visitation out, those 1/1s become 4/4 White Angels. So as you guys saw, we were making 1/1 humans. We can make 1/1 or 2/2 Pegasus and 2/2 Cats. Divine Visitation turns them all into 4/4 Angels. It can get out of hand very quickly. Ethereal Armor, +1/+1 for each enchantment. Hydra's Growth, +1/+1 counter, and double it each time. Then we have Hyena Umbra, which is +1/+1 in first strike. These totem armors are great. You'll notice we're running Bear Umbra, Hyena Umbra, and there should be Snake Umbra. So these are our 3 totem armors to keep things alive. We'll get back to Join Shields in a second. Crufix's Insight's a draw card. Rancor, it's another card that's just great to put on one of our 1/1s, create another 1/1, and just swing in with a 3/1 Trampler every single turn, because Rancor keeps coming back and we keep making more things with it. Sage of Reverie, you draw a card, so this is another draw thing, but I forgot about it because I haven't got to use it. I've got to play this deck twice. I'm hoping to play it more this weekend, but it's +1/+1 for each aura that's attached to a creature. Sigil of the Empty Throne is another one that's kind of like Divine Visitation, but this time instead of changing our 1/1 tokens that come in into 4/4 Angels, this just whenever we play an enchantment, we get a 4/4 Angel. Unflinching Courage, +2/+2 in Trample and Lifelink. And then another killer, if we have something that has grown really big with, like, let's say Hydra's Growth, is Unquestioned Authority. So it just gives something protection from creatures, which means it's unblockable. Other than that, that's about the whole deck. What it takes for this to run, or what I put in to make this whole deck run land-wise, is obviously 13 forests and 14 plains. But the non-basics, the big one is Hall of Heliod's Generosity. So this one came out of Modern Horizons, but it allows us to put any enchantment card from our graveyard on top of our library. Won't get us back our creatures, except for our creatures that are also enchantments. But this gets us back its graveyard recursion for at least 50% of our cards that aren't land. Other than that, you have the basic, typical things that are in here for a budget deck. You have your Cycle lands with Tranquil Thicket and Secluded Grove, and then you have your Guild Gates, your Tranquil Expanses, your Blossoming Sands, your Command Towers, your Selesnya Sanctuaries. That's about it. But this deck, for a budget, I think budget-wise, here, we can look it up even. I think I have it up. Let me look here real quick. Let me move this over here. This is where I copied and pasted. I use Tapped Out more for anything else, but I use this for the visual. So let's say that if you bought this deck straight up, including everything, they're saying that TCG player, it's about a $75 deck, which I think is pretty budget friendly personally. The big things that you can take out would be Divine Visitation, would drop that down by about another $14 to $15. I think that the other expensive cards in here are probably these two right here, so you can replace them with something else, and you have a sub $50 deck, which I know that Mitch over on Commander's Quarters does 50 card deck. You take out, so these would be his optional upgrades. You take out these 3 cards, you're under a 50 card deck, and you have something that can go off. It's competitive, and you'll absolutely have fun playing it. Let me get back over here where I was. So I hope you guys like this deck. For 50, I'm going to call this a $50 budget deck because, like I said, you have to take out 3 cards to get this under $50. Blasting Station, I think, is like $5, but you really need this for your combo, for your combo enablers. Unless you can find, you could put in here like one of the altars. If you wanted to make this for other upgrades, you can put a couple more artifacts in here, which can be infinite combos. So you can put in Altar of Dementia, you can sack all those 1/1s into it and mill everybody also, if you have that instead of Altar of the Brood. Blasting Station, I don't think there's much of a replacement for it in green and white. Most of the time this effect is in red with like impact tremors, but we're not running that. Oh, forgot. There are 2, there's Crufix's Insight, but in terms of things that are neither enchantments nor creatures. We have one here in Join Shields, and I almost forgot about it to talk about it. So this is basically untap all creatures you control. They gain hexproof and indestructible until end of turn. This is important in case you're going off, and I had this problem the other night. Somebody had a Pestilence on board. If you're not familiar with what Pestilence is, 1 black mana, it deals 1 damage all creatures. I had gone infinite. He went in and he was going, before I was going to go to attack, he paid 1 black mana to try to ping down the board. I had Crashing Drawbridge in also. This was my response, and this is the reason it's in here. I just cast Join Shields, so all of my creatures got hexproof and indestructible. I made like 3 million 1/1s is what I came up with, because infinite's not true in Magic. And after I did that, since they were all indestructible, his Pestilence didn't do anything. I tapped that Crashing Drawbridge, gave them all haste, swung 1 million 1/1s at everybody, and just won the game. And then there's one more in here that is not... I thought that there was one more in here besides Krufix's Insight, but that may be the only one. Join Shields here. There are other effects like this that you can get in other things as well. But wanted to bring that up real quick before I forgot, since I saw it staring right in my face. But if you like this deck, Teck, let me know. Leave a comment down below. I'm going to be playing this more. I'm not a big Selesnya player. I pretty much hate green, but I was wanting to build this deck. I wanted an Enchantress's deck. If you want an Enchantress's deck, you're basically going to be playing green and white and maybe a little bit of blue. Other than that, that's where your Enchantresses are. By Enchantresses, I mean your Mesa Enchantress, your Yavimaya Enchantress, your Vajarian Enchantress, your Enchantresses that draw things. This is your Enchantress deck. So, not an archetype I had and an archetype I wanted. Gonna play it a lot, see if I like it. I'll probably keep it together. I had a friend come by today. Let's see if I have it. Here it is. I want to give him a shout out, even though he probably never watches my channel. But Tim came by today. He made a deck box for me. This is 3D printed with the showcase on the front. This is really neat. We found the print from somebody else. This is the prototype version. But let me see here. I'm going to do this. Alright, so let me turn on another light here for you guys. So this is it. It's pretty neat. Sorry, I got magic cards all over the place. Kind of person would I be if I didn't have magic cards all over the place? I clean this all up before I do box openings. But it's got the Magic the Gathering logo 3D printed on top. And then there's, in the files we found, there's a color for, there's a top and a bottom for every single color. So this is, he ran out of, this is supposed to be blue, but it was a prototype, so he picked the wrong file. And this, so this would be an island symbol, and this should be all blue, but he ran out of the medium. But it's got that on both sides. There's nothing on the back, nothing on the bottom. But this is a 3D printed box. Inside, since this was your showcase, that's where that sits. Then you have room for 100 cards double sleeved. I actually have 101 in here because I have a Drake. And then you have a side slot over here for all of your dice, tokens, anything you want you can put over here. And then it's meant for the little hobby magnets in the corners. But wanted to go ahead and give this a shout out to Tim, since he just, I mean, he literally brought this by, I don't know, maybe 15, I guess about 30 minutes ago. And we're going to work some more with this design and see what else we can do. Maybe I can get my name back here on the back nameplate or something like that for Swordman Josh. But wanted to give him a shout out. If you guys like this, I could probably find the link and put it in the link below or in the description below where I found this for the 3D printer. If you have a 3D printer of your own, it's open source information. So you're welcome to nab it. But yeah, it is meant for a standard. So my Talrand is double sleeved inside of a hard case, and you end up with a showcase up front. And I really like this. I just have to get some of those magnets. But anyways, sidebar. Love the deck. I love this deck. I love this deck box. and we will give you more. I'll give you more information if you're interested in the description below. Just leave me a comment. And as always, may Keep Calm Kitty be with you. And I hope everybody has a great weekend. If you're going to the Star City Games Open in Indianapolis, my plans have changed. I will not be there, so I will miss seeing anybody that will be up there. And everybody, enjoy. Have a great weekend. Play Magic.